Today, we are going to dive into an idea that is so simple it's actually kind of radical, and so obvious that, well, we almost always miss it. This comes from the work of a philosopher named Douglas Harding, and it makes this astonishing claim about who, or maybe what, we truly are.
It all kicks off with this completely startling statement. The best day of my life, my rebirth day, so to speak, was when I found I had no head. Now that sounds totally absurd, right? A weird metaphor maybe? But here's the twist. He meant it literally. And that paradox is exactly what we're going to unpack. So where on earth did such a wild idea come from? Well, it all starts with a man, a mountain, and a moment of just stunning clarity up in the Himalayas. So there's Harding, walking along a mountain ridge. And for just a second, he stops thinking. He just looks. He looks down, sees his khaki pants and his shoes. He looks to the side. He sees his sleeves and his hands. But then he looks upwards to where his head should have been. And there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just an empty space, completely filled with the sky. But here is the crucial point. This nothingness wasn't some scary, empty void. He realized it was actually filled with everything he was seeing, the grass, the mountains in the distance, the clouds. As he put it himself, I had lost a head and gained a world. He realized he wasn't a person looking at the world. He was the space for the world to appear in.
Okay, I get it. That is a wild story. But Harding insisted this wasn't some kind of mystical trance. It was just a simple observation of fact. So let's actually investigate the evidence that he presents, the evidence that's available to every single one of us.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, that's how other people see you. As a person with a head, this opaque, colored 8-inch ball. But from your own point of view, right now, just look. Harding says what you actually experience is what's on the right, a vast, clear, totally unoccupied space where the world is just appearing. You don't see your head, you see the world.
But hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. The immediate objection is always this one. Okay, but what about the things I can feel? What about my nose?
Harding's answer to this is just brilliant. He says that from his own first-person view, he can see a sort of fuzzy, pinkish, yet perfectly transparent cloud on one side of his vision, and another similar one on the other side. So he says, if these are noses, then I have two of them. You see what he's doing? He's highlighting that the visual experience of what we call my nose is completely different from the solid thing we see on someone else's face.
That's a fair point. So what about touch? What about that undeniable feeling of a face when I bring my hand up to it?
Of course, you can feel sensations, pressure, warmth, little tickles. But as this slide says, those are just raw sensations. They don't in and of themselves add up to the visual picture of a head with colored shapes and eyes and hair. We assume a head is there because of memory and what people have told us our whole lives, but we don't directly, visually experience it right here, right now.
The mirror is the perfect example of this whole thing. The person you see in the mirror is over there. They have a face, they look a certain age, maybe they look a little vulnerable, but your actual immediate experience right here where you are is of what Harding calls a measureless, ageless, lucid void. They're two totally different realities.
So you might be wondering, was Harding just some eccentric who had a weird experience on a mountain? Not at all. It turns out this headless insight is a kind of secret that has been whispered and shouted by mystics for centuries. Just listen to the raw power of this quote from the 13th century Sufi mystic, Rumi. Behead yourself, dissolve your whole body into vision, become seeing, seeing, seeing. The language is so poetic, but the instruction is shockingly direct. Lose the idea of yourself as a separate head and just become pure awareness. And over in Zen Buddhism, there's this famous idea of the original face, the face you had before your parents were even born. Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Zen, said that if you recognize this original face, all secrets are found within you. It's just another way of pointing to this open, preconceptual reality at your very core.
And the Zen master Shenhui makes the connection just unmistakable. Seeing into nothingness, this is the true seeing, the eternal seeing. The very same thing Harding stumbled upon on that mountain, seeing his own immediate receptive nothingness, is being presented here as the key to ultimate vision.
So, if this is some universal truth, how do we lose sight of it? And more importantly, how do we get back to it? Harding actually mapped out what he called the Headless Way, a really simple path to rediscover this obvious clarity. This slide lays out the journey perfectly in 3 stages. We all start out as the headless infant, right? We're unconsciously one with the world. Then we become the headed grown-up. We learn from mirrors and from other people to imagine there's a head on our own shoulders. This creates the illusion of being a separate self, which leads to all those problems of feeling isolated or anxious. And then the final stage is becoming a headless seer, consciously turning our attention around 180 degrees to rediscover our true open nature.
Okay, that is enough theory. The real power in this idea isn't in thinking about it. It's in seeing it for yourself. So, wherever you are right now, let's just try a simple little experiment together. Just take a moment, be still, and follow along.
Probably the easiest way to see this for yourself is to simply point back at the space that you are looking from. All right, let's try this. First, just point your index finger out at something in front of you. You see your finger, and you see the world beyond it. Now, slowly, swing that finger around 180 degrees back toward where you think your face is. Keep looking right at the tip of your finger as it gets closer. And ask yourself, what is my finger actually pointing at? Right here, right now.
If you're really looking carefully, you'll notice your finger isn't pointing at a face, or at eyes, or at anything solid. It's pointing at nothing. It's pointing at an empty, clear space that is effortlessly holding the sight of your finger, your hand, and everything else in your field of view.
Look, this isn't about believing in some new philosophy. It's just about noticing your own, direct, immediate experience. Seeing this for yourself can be profoundly freeing. It's like a release from that small, separate self into a vast, open awareness. So I'll leave you with Harding's core invitation, a question to keep asking yourself. Right now, what are you actually looking out of?